Like others on this committee, I had the pleasure and privilege to call Elijah my friend for almost 20 years, as we worked on the many issues that have confronted Congress and our country. Mr. Cummings has bequeathed the legacy of compassionate service to those families in our society who still struggle to receive the full promise of the American dream. While he had an abiding faith in the goodness and kindness of humankind, he was firm in his commitment to use his many talents and the power of his position to weigh in on behalf of the disenfranchised and to reduce the suffering that he saw in this world. Elijah lived his life in a meaningful cause, the cause of justice, the cause of liberty, and the cause of equality for all. We and our nation would be well served to follow his example. His spirit and his presence here on this committee will be sorely missed. Today we will examine the Trump administration's sudden decision to withdraw U.S. forces from northern Syria and abandon our Kurdish allies. As everyone knows, a little more than 2 weeks ago, President Trump had a phone call with Turkish President Erdogan. We don't know exactly what the transcript of that conversation reveals, but we do know that the White House released the following statement about the call, and I quote it here. Quote, "Turkey will soon be moving forward with its long-planned operations into northern Syria. The United States Armed Forces will not support or be involved in the operation, and United States forces, having defeated the ISIS territorial caliphate, will no longer be in the immediate area," close quote. Nowhere in that statement is any indication that President Trump tried to delay President Erdogan's planned operation. Indeed, I think it could be interpreted that his statement facilitated that incursion. Nowhere in the statement did the White House condemn Turkey's invasion and the destabilizing effects it would have across the region. Nowhere did the statement warn about the hundreds of thousands of civilians who would be displaced, only that the United States military would no longer be in the immediate vicinity. And with that, President Trump ceded virtually all of America's ability to influence events on the ground in northern Syria. He abandoned our allies, the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, who for years were our partner force and the most effective fighters against the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. As a result, the SDF will no longer be able to apply continued counterterrorism pressure against ISIS, which will almost inevitably allow them to re-emerge. Equally concerning is that the power vacuum left by the United States is already being filled by the Syrian regime of Bashar al-Assad, Russia, and Iranian militias. President Trump's uninformed, whimsical, and indifference to loyalty and life decisions on the phone with the President Erdogan will result in disastrous consequences for U.S. national security and has undermined U.S. credibility on the world stage. According to one Kurdish fighter, and this is a quote, "America will never again be able to count on the Kurds to fight ISIS. We don't trust America anymore," close quote. This is very important, so let me read the Kurdish view again. Quote, "We don't trust America anymore," close quote. Trump's betrayal of an ally and what it says about America will inflict severe damage to American diplomacy, military strategy, and foreign policy for many years to come. But don't take my word for it. Even President Trump's most ardent supporters and former administration officials have criticized his decision. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has described the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria as, quote, "a grave mistake," close quote. Senator Lindsey Graham has called the decision short-sighted and irresponsible. Former Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis said, quote, "if we don't keep the pressure on them, ISIS will reemerge. It's absolutely a given that they will come back." And last week, 129 of my Republican colleagues voted alongside 225 Democrats to oppose President Trump's decision to withdraw U.S. forces from northern Syria. Today, we have the great privilege of welcoming Ilham Ahmed, Executive President of Syrian Democratic Council, and Mari Palmer, a former Special Forces officer who fought alongside our Kurdish SDF allies in northern Syria. We're also joined by Bernice Romero from Save the Children to provide an update on the humanitarian situation in Syria, as well as Emerita Torres, Director of Policy and Research at the Sufan Group and a former U.S. diplomat. We are also pleased to welcome John Glazer, Director of Foreign Policy Studies at the Cato Institute.